This TikToker is in big trouble. His name is Icy. Icy loves to flex on TikTok. One day, Icy is out driving his pink Mercedes and gets into a traffic and some kind of road rage incident with a couple of other cars, pretty particularly with this other guy. Let's call him Joel. So Joel and his buddy, they're in a pickup truck stuck in this traffic jam, and Icy gets out of his car yelling at someone else, and Joel calls out to him like, dude, get back into your car. And Icy turns to Joe and is like, don't joke with me, I have a gun. And then Icy throws his whole drink at Joel. So Joel and his friend, they get out of the truck and they are pissed. And Icy, instead of getting into his car and driving away like a decent gentleman, instead he gets into his glove compartment and pulls out a gun. And he points it right at them. And Joel and his friend are like, okay bro, chill. And they turn around and get back into their car. And when they do, boom, Icy pistol whips Joel in the back of his head with his gun. So Joel gets back into his truck and his friend, they drive away. And Icy gets into his car and chases them and ends up swerving around them and cutting them off. And yeah, he is that aggressive. And Joel is still freaked out, so he calls 911. This guy got out of his car and pointed a gun at him. And then Icy calls 911 and tells a different story.
Came up and tried to cut me off, and then I had 4 guys jump out the car and say.
Minutes later, police arrive and they talk to Joe, but Icy already fled the scene and is gone. Later that night, police roll up at Icy's house looking for him, and he just happens to be pulling out of. So the police surround him with their guns pointed at him, and Icy's like, don't you know who I am? And the police tell him to put both of his hands out of the window and come out.
I don't know who I am.
Nope.
So I guess Icy thinks he's too TikTok famous to get arrested. So anyway, they arrest him because it's against the law to pistol whip someone. And so they search his car and they find his gun. And of course, Icy denies that he did anything wrong. And so he's in the back of the police car and is on phone call with his girlfriend.
I'm getting arrested because of those people that.
You can't take my phone, this is my possession, so now you're gonna be a thief?
And then Icy starts this whole thing about being internet famous again.
The bright pink car who is famous online gets with on the freeways all the time, and that's why I carry a gun. You don't even know what gun is the same gun that I hit with if I did. So you don't even know what gun was used in crime, but you want to sit here.
And so anyway, sometime later, he's still in the back of the police car on his way to jail. And Icy, he continues to argue that he is the victim in this case. And all this came about as a result of his online fame.
I mean, not everybody knows who you are.
It doesn't matter. I have 58 million followers, maybe low. Everybody who's been on TikTok or Instagram is so quiet.
You can't assume that everybody knows.
So anyway, they get him to the station and he keeps resisting arrest and trying to flex at the same time.
$30,000, $40,000 worth of jewelry without me knowing exactly where it's going.
And I'm going to write it on this form.
So go ahead and write it on the form.
No,
and
I
then
have to
bring
know
it
what I
to
have
me.
to put on it, so give me the jewelry.
You don't know what this jewelry is valued.
Why? Come on now. I don't.
You this to me the whole entire time in the car.
I've actually been so nice to you.
No,
You've been calling me.
Get back in the car. Let him take his chance.
So at this point, he gets mad because he starts vomiting insults at them. You guys are so annoying. And then they throw him at the back of the car and he tries to kick them. And so anyway, after all that, Icy is finally arrested. Boom. And he spends a couple of days in jail and then gets bailed out. Now, at this point, Icy could lay low. he could keep his head down and try not to cause any noise or any trouble. But that's not what he does. He immediately gets on TikTok and starts spinning his own version of the story.
Mercedes and my ass beat for trying to take my seatbelt off when they tell me to get out the car.
And while he's out on ball waiting for his trial, he's posting all over TikTok, still trying to flex like life is good, like showing off his jewelry and showing off another Mercedes. I guess he owns. Showing a bunch of Louis Vuitton bags and other luxurious stuff that he bought for himself and his girlfriend. Now, eventually, his trial gets postponed. So in the meantime, bro is right back living the best of his life until Icy gets into trouble again. Allegedly, he gets into trouble with someone else, and I guess he ends up killing the person's car and destroying it. The police finds out and his bond is revoked, and boom, he's arrested again. And before he goes into jail for a long time, he does whip while he's live streaming on TikTok, I guess to send himself off. And so he sits in jail for a year, and finally he goes into trial and is found guilty and is sentenced to 5 years in prison. And since then, his girlfriend, I guess somehow his wife, completely took over his TikTok and
tell you guys that obviously I'm not on drugs and I'm just sad and breaking out. I'm off birth control and
his mom goes to TikTok to talk about her son and how much of a tad he was.
And have you raised an asshole? Because I am. And